I think we're at a stage of development today where we can safely say that our professionals hold their own, let's put it this way, when compared to professionals and other service providers in other jurisdictions. We're seeing also the, as Kenneth puts it, clusters of expertise in various areas. So we're moving ahead. We may not yet, however, be at the level of sophistication of certain centres.
The creation of a finance centre is not dependent on lawyers and accountants. There has to be the foot soldiers, the investment managers, the portfolio managers, the fund administrators, who require a lower qualification, not simply a university degree. So the first idea was to get all the training centres together and debate amongst themselves what programs they require, what things need to be done.
I think first and foremost, and I think it's on the lips of everyone today, that we're facing, human resource shortages, both in terms of skills and equally in terms of numbers.
Innovation is closely tied to education. We need to encourage change in our educational system, not to produce robots, but to produce people who can think for themselves.
We have an important safety valve, the safety valve of attracting foreigners, particularly those in the EU, to work in Malta. And I think that's very, very important. But equally so, we're seeing that there are opportunities to attract non-EU workers to Malta.
We need to look beyond the EU and increase our workforce by importing talent from non-EU jurisdictions. But these people can't afford to wait 4 to 6 months for a visa and a work permit. We need a fast-track process that would make it easier for Maltese companies to hire qualified staff from non-EU countries.
We should really identify those economic sectors which are growing, assess internally whether we have the resource capability to service those sectors. But if there is a gap, and this is why we need a forward-looking resource analysis to understand the skills shortages and the numbers in particular that will service these sectors, then to bridge that gap through such programs and attract talent to Malta through these visa packaged products.
The answer is clearly vocational training institutes, as you rightly pointed out. I mean, short courses to prepare people who have already had a good grounding and have all the basic skills to learn.
There are two separate things here. There's about educating people to do the jobs of today, but the bigger issue is educating people to do the jobs of tomorrow. What we're certainly seeing a lot of in the UK now is Generation X, Y, or whichever generation it is, now saying they don't want a job. They actually want to run their own business, and by the time they're 21, they could well be doing that. So I think that apart from educating people for today, there's something about leaving people the space to develop the businesses of tomorrow, and that's probably not through a classical education of any kind. It's probably from a very different place.
We need to have a strategy. Therefore, what strategy are we going to adopt for the financial services? Are we going to identify areas of excellence and concentrate on them and prepare as many as possible? We are going to simply continue as we are, which has been good, consolidate it, we need to consolidate it, but I think we have to define a clear strategy for the next decade. Then, obviously, that will identify the number of job requirements and the skills that will be required.